but what a way to go. Whew. Hey, it is Dr. Trek, Larry Nemecek, coming at you here from the heart of Trekland and letting the dust settle just a bit on all the recent Trek headlines and episodes. So instead of a hot take or a quick take, you get a second opinion from Dr. Trek. Hey, look, I have been writing, authoring, editing, archiving, collecting, witnessing, interviewing, hosting, dot connecting, and fanning Star Trek for a while now. And I just want to say, well, here we are. It has arrived. The season finale of Lower Decks, the series finale of Lower Decks, the new Next Generation. Not to be confused with The Last Generation over on Picard. And no, it's not so much a tie-in to that finale or the TNG cast and their story overall. Well, no more than any other Trek story. No, this is a packed but not crammed ending finale with, well, it's got something for everybody. The ship nerds, the shippers, Klingon fans, Cerritos Strong crew watchers, big picture franchise watchers, aka canonistas, and I say that lovingly, and even some fan controversy. Hey, it's the longest show of the season. It is 8 seconds shy of 34 minutes. I'm glad they were afforded all that extra time. And, well, this one made me do something I haven't done in ages. Look up Klingon words. Wukche, an all-purpose swear word. I mean, look, you didn't need me to say it. Everyone is falling over themselves to talk about how this is such an incredible end to the Cerritos saga. Or is it? The end, I mean, not the incredible part. That is not in question. Now, more on that ending, but first, let's get to it. Starting with, as if we have to say it, our kudos with our writer this week. Well, it's the writer of Lower Decks for all time, the creator and showrunner. Of course, we're talking about Mike McMahon. Now, he is continuing a custom most of the seasons of writing at least two, usually the opener and then the finale. Broke that a couple of times, but here, of course, he's only got one in this year. So he's wound up with 9 actual writing credits. But who better to do the finale? I say that about writing credits. He's the showrunner. He is rewriting and polishing to some degree on every script. But this is actually the 9th show that's actually got his name on it. And our director, another name you'll know, Megan Lloyd. Now, she started as a storyboard artist for 3 episodes apiece on seasons 2 and 3, then bumped up to director and has done 3 episodes apiece for the last 2 seasons, including I Have No Bones, But I Must Flee, Moopsie, last season. And here again, she directed the opener, Dos Cerritos, and very appropriately also, A Farewell to Farms, both of them great setups for this episode. You know, Farms of the Klingon Brothers. Okay, little things, big things, and get ready for this. Little thing, did you notice? It's a rare voiceover opening, you know, previously on, but it wasn't Majel. No Majel. You could have just used Majel seeing previously on. Oh well. But by the way, who was that voice? I'm betting it's someone we know in another role, on or off mic. Big thing, and this is a Sovereign class size thing. Yeah. The Enterprise is en route. Ha! You know what that's a play on that whole Enterprise. It's the only ship in the quadrant line from all the movies. Before we define quadrants and sectors better. Well, looky here. After 5 seasons, the Cerrito has really made it big because now they are the only ship in the sector. But as you watch, did you see? In the end, the Enterprise Z does make it in time to watch the new portal. And remember who's captain right now. I've heard some fans complain that Sir Patrick as Picard should have made an appearance in this episode, but really? You want to have somebody from Next Generation trump another finale of somebody else's series? Big thing, science. Yes. You can tell that there's the fine fingerprints are all over this episode of, well, the show's science advisor, Dr. Aaron McDonald, my good friend. Just as with the setup here, with all the quantum theory and the physics, right? And this Schrodinger possibility field. Now, it's a field that was named after Erwin Schrodinger, who is a Nobel Prize winning Austrian, later Irish physicist. He's foundational to quantum theory. And he's already famous for his Schrodinger's cat thought experiment. Have you ever heard of this? Now, here you go, mind-bending physics. Since a particle or an atom has no reality until it's actually pinned down and measured, which builds off of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which was developed by Heisenberg at the same time. So Schrodinger envisioned, well, he imagined, to explain all this, a box that contained a radioactive atom, a vial of poison, and a cat. So now, governed by quantum rules, the radioactive atom, under this, it can either decay or not at any given moment. And of course, there's no telling when the moment will come, but when it does, it will break the vial, release the poison, and kill the cat. He's saying that if Heisenberg's Copenhagen interpretation, it's called, is correct, then before any measurement of all this has happened, the atom and the cat are in superposition, meaning they are both decayed and dead and not decayed alive. Now, that sounds absurd talking about it that way, and it was supposed to show that the original Heisenberg Copenhagen interpretation was lacking something. But all it did was just kind of open the door to get people thinking and spurring other ways to look at early day quantum theory, including what led to the many worlds interpretation. Yes, our mirror universe, the multi-universes, the multiverse. So, nice application of the original Schrodinger's cat, and way to go once again, Aaron. Make them curious and Google it. They'll learn it even better. And yes, gluons are real too. Gluons as in the gluonic beam that they're sealing this rift with. Yeah, mentioned in the last episode, remember? Now, as far as core bopples, well, let's just say, I think Talin is really getting good at this humor thing. Phalangometer. Little thing, nothing to do with science or even Star Trek. This is animation. Did you notice Ransom and Freeman's little dance on the bridge early on? I mean, just watch this. In live action, it would be called, stage blocking. Here, it's just, I don't know, I can't believe this animation is just done so adroitly. I was shocked watching it, in a good way, It reminds me, it's like a gender swap of that old line about Ginger Rogers, how she did everything that Fred Astaire did, only backwards and in heels. Big thing, Klingon stuff. So much Klingon stuff. For one thing, you've got both Klingon bird of prey scales in here. It's almost like it's for illustration. Now look, it's never said on screen. They just, leave this as a if you know, you know. But the cool kids know that the bigger of the two bird of preys is a covort class. The smaller is the original Burrell class. And no, those were not planned. They were just the fanboys on staffs in the art room and the writer's room midway on TNG trying to retcon the fact that visual effects had used the same old bird of prey model from Star Trek III over and over again at all different scales. Sometimes it had a crew of 12, sometimes it had a crew of enough to take on a Galaxy class. Remember? Here we've got it on screen on film. What's even better is, once again, Lower Decks takes on the role of weighing in on all the fan debates over the years. And leave it to Dr. Ta'ana to be the one to tell us that, Klingons hardly ever update their fleet designs, which is why the Klingon bird of prey hung around for 200 years. Nobody ever bothered to update it. They're Klingons, which is also the fan retcon that we've all used for ages anyway. And I never thought of Targs potentially being yapping little annoyances. But boy howdy, they have them too. Lap yappers. It's all an homage to the original Klingon pet, right, that Kruge had in Star Trek 3. But boy, I thought it was going to steal the show here for a minute. And this Targ is an homage too. If you're watching the Blue Sky posts that are public here from One-Time Lower Decks background paint artist Amanda Wong in hair columns, she's pointing to friend Devin and his late great pug, Oliver Reed, as the inspiration for Relga's little monster baby. Oh, and by the way, that Klingon bird of prey that transforms into a barge, if you know your Voyager and you know how we actually met B'Elanna's mother, Maral, you'll know this. That wasn't just any barge. At least it was the shape of the Barge of the Dead, Klingon legend. And ironically, that's exactly what we have here. Literally. Now, in the end, the agonizing matter remap of Relga's ship and the crew, did it give you flashbacks to Vidra digitizing the Klingon crews at the opening of the motion picture? It did me. And then the way Relva and her crew wound up finally being transformed quantumly into proto-Klingons. Remember Worf when everybody de-evolved on Next Generation? Talk about a karmic comeuppance. Yeah, that's an ending that'll haunt you for a while. Make you think twice about hitting that old S field. Oh, and one more Klingon thing. If it hasn't been pointed out already, those toenails and that foot spike on Malor's foot, barefoot. Oh boy. Thank you. Little thing. Apparently, the Cerritos, altered as it was, from within the S field could detect the pursuing Klingons while they were still outside the S field. Oh, big thing. So much ship porn. I mean, this was like a ship's greatest hits hero fashion show, all while the Cerritos was transforming. So much fun. And yet, did you notice they're not all perfect class designs? They all carry, as they transform, but they still carry the Cali class nacelles, the round ones, right? Haha, round nacelle revenge. Which may make sense in a practical way, so that, there's no warp core breaches or spilt drive plasma. I mean, we start with the Freedom class, which all that was the retcon name for some ship debris that late great Greg Jean built for the actual analog models way back for the Best of Both Worlds. And then Mike Akuda gave it a name later on. The USS Firebrand was the actual model. But like the Archer type and the Hermes class and the Saladin class and the Kelvin class, yes, this is a one nacelle ship. Yeah, that one nacelle thing used to drive a lot of fans crazy. And it used to be canon that ships could only have an even number of nacelles. Then we got these, and well, all I'm going to say is thank you so much for Tendi, the little canon angel here, popping in on screen with the answer and canon smoothing the whole thing. And then we even get a Terran Empire Cerritos. I mean, we are talking dimensions, right? And you notice you didn't only get the sword through the planet logos on the interior doors, but as the hull dipped and passed, yes, you got the gold braid, whatever that is, just as it was created for In a Mirror Darkly on Enterprise, where it debuted. And then the barrage of ships. What a lineup. Did you notice? We had a Sovereign there. We had a Grissom, well, Oberth class. We had the Reliant, the Miranda class. We even had a Galaxy. Then we get into weird combinations. I'm not sure they're canon at all. Some of these may be from the Kelvin or from the Purple or who knows what dimension. Yeah, who knows? I bet somebody will have a list by the end of the week. But all of them with Cerritos nacelles and the good old trademark Cali class yellow stripe for ops, the way Cerritos is. And then bifurcating into two quantum possibilities, just splitting apart and then splitting back. Shades of Voyager's Deadlock. Remember that one? I mean, Harry Kim has been a lightning rod for these kind of quantum accidents since Stardate 1. One more big thing, because even in its finale, Lower Decks never stops poking at Star Trek's big meta tropes. Now, I've mentioned a couple of them, but hey, also the soliton transformation waves, they're seen as very much a two-dimensional line, not a smothering plane coming at you. So, yay, Nexus, and yay, Praxis Explosion Ring, and yes, original Soliton Wave. All lines. Lines, I tell you! But the real in-your-face smoothing going on here, well, it's aimed at a certain segment of fandom that never got over the way the Cerritos engineering pod is designed. Yeah, did you pick up on this in Mariner's ending soliloquy? She says, yes, there's a lot of ships in the fleet that are bigger, fancier. They have engineering sections that are attached to the main part of the ship. Take that, dark side Uber ship nerds. Favorite lines? Damn, that is so dishonorable. Mariner? Well, that could have been another example of this Lower Decks doing another meta trope on Star Trek. Because every Klingon full-blood that we've ever met, well, aside from Worf and Martok, is dishonorable. Oh, also, I'll see you Janeway's weird is just part of the job, and raise you, all hands brace for weird. I mean, I love that from Freeman, and it's my prediction right here and now for one of the all-time great Lower Decks quotables. It'll last for decades. It may single-handedly bring back the slogan button industry. Oh, and speaking of Freeman, sorry, but apparently we're the only ones who can save the frickin' universe today. I love how Freeman uses the diplomatic frickin' instead of the customary frickin'. Okay, cast and characters. So why don't we start with Relga, the Klingon thorn in the side here? She's the sister of the slain brothers, right? That Ma'ar has put away the last couple of seasons, including just recently in A Farewell to Farms that introduces to Malor. Relga is voiced by first-time Trekker Roxanne Ortega, but she's an actress and a producer and longtime known for the Casa Grandes on Nickelodeon. Meanwhile, thanks to some public tweeting out there, it turns out that Relga's bridge warrior to camera right is a sketch homage to Titmouse's prop designer, longtime of the series, Phil Murphy. As he says, that character was named Phil by assistant director Gene Kang and designed by Robbie Cook. Kang? And then the one on the left, Phil says, honors Eddie Millen, who is another long-serving prop designer there at Titmouse, credited as a color designer. Meanwhile, who at Titmouse was the poor little pad holder warrior? I mean, that's got to be some art department PA or journeyman, right? We'll put a pin on that one too. There are so many of these in this episode. I'm suspicious, but deadlines call. And hey, Ma'ar, speaking of a great conclusion to his own little arc, huh? He's so focused, he's so Klingon, and yet he's so unaware of the big picture sometimes. Or that even the whales know he is hot. And I love how he growls, and that is remaining vigilant. And it's great to see Malor again. Yeah, the fat one, bro. And in fine Lower Decks fashion, comic irony, he just pops up out of nowhere, just in time to give the trope metaphor inspiration to save the universe. Of course. And once again, his voice is provided by actor Sam Witmer, who you all know now just appeared as Kirk in the Otoy and Roddenberry amazing unification short film. Oh, and I'm sorry, not sorry, but only Klingons can pull off amazing evasive maneuvers by brawling brothers. Now, closer to home, it was great to see Admiral Freeman back again, once again voiced by Phil Lamar in the booth there. But those screen partners of his, that's an Areolo alien in the middle. It took me a while, but then yes, I was thinking animated series, but no, it's the aliens among many in the Federation Council scene from Star Trek IV, right? The Voyage Home. And much fleshed out in the gaming books, given that name, Areolo, and made into being the centaurs of Trek. Yes, they look humanoid here, but they look four-legged and hooven, which of course we couldn't see when they're sitting at the council table. But boy, it's all been fleshed out here on Lower Decks. They popped up in the background, but this is the first time they're front and center in our face and given a voice. And guess who is providing the voice of that Areolo scientist? None other than our own Gabrielle Ruiz. Castro, and of course T'Lyn. But alongside her, we have a mystery. Who is that unnamed science commander? Unnamed? Uncredited? And is it a staff visual homage again? Again, still on deadline, haven't found those answers. It's still a mystery. Stay tuned. But what is not a mystery is how so many of the rank and file Cerritos crew that we've seen spotlighted at moments across the 5 seasons, especially they got another rewatch recently in Upper Decks. Yeah. This episode has no featured guest stars. I guess they blew the budget last time. That was awesome. So they've just saved it. They've saved the bandwidth and the budget. It's just been cool to see so many faces of the crew, even more, even just for a second or two in this grand finale. I mean, did you notice when Rutherford busted out of the Jeffries tube right in the middle of a work crew? It was the Delta shifters. Karavitas and Moxie and Amadou and Asif all in that corridor. I mean, a minute later, Karavitas is getting some medical attention from Ta'ana. And then, of course, they all get a final callback, sitting around playing cards with a choo-choo dance shirt, no less. And you know, that wrap-up montage also includes one last visit. Well, as we met them back in Here All Trust Nothing, it's Ensign Castro's salon group meeting in quarters, right? Getting along without Jennifer the Andorian, who transferred, remember. But that's a very special candle they have this time. Is Dr. Bev replicating those herself or just circulating the program? Now, I'm glad to see Mike thought, of course, we have to have one final visit in Cetacean Ops. And visually, it's very cool. It's a wide angle with the ceiling and the rocks, and it's cool. I don't know if we've ever had this angle before. But, you know, the scene flashed up, and I thought, why is Boimler just standing there watering the whales in the middle of a crisis? And then I thought, wait, Freeman ordered him to get down to navigation. She didn't say Cetacean Ops, so it was a nice little mini surprise, set that up. And yeah, we actually see them sliding Matt and Kimelo into the water. But later on, in a moment of calm, it's Steve Stevens and Nurse Westlake in the pool with Matt and Kimelo. Okay. I guess it's one last round of cetaceoerotic suggestion. But then we also got Olympian Ollie in a pivotal role. Who saw that coming? And Taylor the Kaziddi and the Tellarite Ensign Gorm, who never got any lines, as did any of the Merps. But we got Aussie Meredith, and in the final montage, yes, it's Gucci, with one last scary twitch. And with Levick, of all people, who's, well, did you see what he's doing? He's finally realigning those Tucker tubes out of perfect, boring, laughable Star Trek do-nothing symmetry. I almost wish I could hang around and see what the hell that's going to become. Even the Ascension guy, O'Connor, remember him? As he somehow de-ascensions here, right in the middle of sickbay. And of course, Dr. Ta'ana is left totally nonplussed when he does. Oh, and Kayshawn gets a moment, and, well, per my question I asked 2 weeks back, no, we do get more Temerian metaphors, and they're kind of cute. Now, our chief engineer, good old Andy Billups, kind of has a straight man role this week. Doesn't do much. Had the big star turn last week. Here he's very professional and efficient, and on top of it, very supervisorial. But the captain, good old Captain Freeman, aside from having so many good lines, no, she's going to wind up going away, earning a rest here with her hubby, or is she? Starbase 80. But I thought it was funny. Another one of those meta moments. She actually says "warp me," but it's done so well. I don't mind it. I hated that contest for all captains to have their own signature line. Thankfully, it died down. But this one felt really organic. Yeah, "warp me" sounded just fine. And boy, we've had so many good moments finally with Dr. Ta'ana this year. But I just want to give her the Dr. McCoy Lookalike Award this year, because this episode, she's doing all kinds of things, showing all kinds of knowledge that has nothing to do with being a doctor, right? She's the one that pulls out well, can't we do some underhanded Kirk-style tricks to defeat the Klingons? She's the one that knows about Klingon ship design. But in the end, when she says goodbye to Freeman, her last line is basically a really loud, soft purr. Wow. Ta'ana goes emo. Oh, but it's an emo of a different kind altogether that she is still sharing with her big guy Shax. Whatever they're doing with their pirate scenario and Long John, whatever. But no, really, I love the way, most of all, Shax's episode, I love the moment. I love the way that Shax knows full well what a Terran Empire ship looks like on sight and how it's armed. I mean, and this is the dimensional, the quantum rift show, but I guess really after Archer's reports and Lorca's and Saru's and just recently Cisco's a few years earlier, I guess it's common knowledge among the primers, even security chiefs on Cali class ships. Okay. And then Ransom here keeps surprising me with his cogent logic. He's really come a long way the last few episodes. I mean, here he's hiding Malor to give Freeman plausible deniability that's worthy of Ronald Reagan's staff, since that's where the term originated. Yet I appreciate that it's still Ransom who they use as the mark to help ridicule that whole pick out a warp command contest, among all the Star Trek captains. There's that meta poke again. Now, as for Rutherford, I guess I missed this growing irritation with the Cerritos, or did that just pop up here? It was great to see him get back in sync and out-engineer the entire staff before their very eyes and save the ship. I mean, the only thing missing was a Geordie roll under the big isolation door. Does Cerritos engineering have a big isolation door? But after all these years and hiccups and ups and downs with his Oculus and its housing, he rips it off in the moment. But oh ho, it had a dopamine inhibitor. Oh yeah, what about Tenderford? And what will losing that device mean for his proximity to Tendi now, huh? I think we got a clue. And speaking of our Orion Worlds Bridger, look, I'm no expert on 70s nonviolent kid cartoons, much less 90s anime, but I know it when I see it. And science besties, complete with that artsy split color streaks. I mean, that whole mini sequence was very Short Trek's wild, and a whole new vibe for Tendi and T'Lyn going forward. By the way, can we just say, in hindsight, again, what a landmark Wej Douge was. I mean, it gave us not only T'Lyn, but Ma'a too. And they both came fully packed with complete arcs to play out. That's got to be Lower Decks' big mid-series, if not correction, adjustment that just paid dividends down the line. Made us really happy too. And who does that leave us now in our finale wrap up? But yeah, Boymes and Mariner. Now tell the truth. Did you really think she was going to lean over and kiss him there at the end? Ah! But it got about as platonic close as it was ever going to. That was a little odd. Okay, they've all had their growth, and I don't just mean his beard. Okay. And her final speech, as it's designed to be, winds up being, well, a love letter, not just to the crew and the ship after 5 years, but it's one last blast to go lower decks meta commentary. Did you see it? It combines earned comedy, I think, with earned pathos. So I was expecting something like Mariner's musings there at the end, right? Her final speech. What I wasn't expecting was a solution to this dilemma the last 2 or 3 years as the characters started to grow. But how do you keep them weird? How do you keep them off putting? Well, Ransom has the answer. You make them co executive officers. Yeah. Well, that's a perfect solution to maturity creep. Ready for my spinoff, Mr. DeMille? Okay, I credit Ransom. That's writing, that's Mike McMahon, and you can tell this is Mike's baby. So as we wrap this up, I mean, yes, sure, it's the longest Lower Decks ever. And of course, it's the finale. It should be. But even then, this is so jam-packed. But it's not ever crammed. It's just they've done so much with so little. There's even a bird pun one more time for Miggly Mo. Now, aside from writer Mike and, yeah, director Megan, I got a couple other late kudos. One of them, to composer Chris Westlake, because this finale encompasses every kind of mood and pace, and his music is right on pitch, so to speak. I mean, you got the token Klingon decloaking danger theme. You got the scurrying engineer crew hyper expectancy theme. That tone, and it just goes on and on and on. So yes, kudos Chris Westlake. And then kudos to the art and camera departments. I mean, there's tons of names in these credits, but it needs all of them. And yes, we go from this old school shaky cam battle sequence look that's doing the old school got you on the edge of your seat with tension. And that's even before we get to these excruciating, mind-bending stuff at the end with the transformations, all the boundaries and intersections, and most of all, that whole S-field filament tentacles look like giant webs of brain neurons. I mean, it's a pretty fresh new look when you consider all the years of Star Trek anomalies and vortexes and, yeah, live and animated. Wow. These crazy transformations and that stretch split and keeping it all cogent and dramatic and logical at the same time. Oh, guys, amazing. What a way to go out. I'm glad you saved the best for last. Now, look, let me just say real quick. I don't normally pick a favorite moment in the episodes, but apart from all the big that is going on here, the epic, the historic, there was one tiny little moment that I loved. I don't remember seeing anything like this before, but it's the moment that everyone realizes the danger, the gauntlet has been thrown down, and the first thing everybody thinks is to glare at the Boimlers. Well, there's only one there, but he gets the glare for both of them. I just love the way the scene is shot, and everyone is focused on him from two directions. So yes, amazing episode, amazing finale, hits all the right notes, so many levels, so many things it had to do, so many things we got to see it do that we weren't even expecting. That's why, and I'm going to say this again, I only had the one little misfire about Rutherford's reaction to the ship. I just didn't get that little wrap-up bit. I mean, was the whole cyber Oculus, was it a plot point before this? Did I miss it? Was it a late add-on? Did I miss where he was harping about the Cerritos before? In the big picture things, it's resolved. He's great. He decides that his Oculus is the enemy, not the ship, tosses it. He looks great. We get to wonder what's going to happen without that. Yeah. Hormone control. We'll see what happens. But look, that's the only off-put moment I had with this entire finale. There is a section of fandom, though, that has glommed onto a moment early in this finale, right? It's when the first Klingon ships are transforming, and we get a glimpse of, yes, the Takuvma and the Allied House Klingons, first season Discovery Klingons. And people are saying, aha, look, in the definition of the show, that's alternate dimension. Yay. Discovery, at least the first couple of seasons, at least first season, Discovery is an alternate universe. And no, guys, look. Now, look, as much as I would, well, love to say that would make things easier, looking at you, distant holocoms and touch screens 10 years before Kirk and Spock, that's not going to happen. You didn't spend millions on all of those moments and scenes and sets and everything to just throw that away. Even I know that we're dealing with alternate dimensions and it could be slotted over there. No, that is not going to happen. Look, you don't need to. They define all the iterations that the transformation wave takes in as being all the dimensions. Well, guess what? Prime is one of the dimensions. What happened to the Cerritos? The Cerritos prime aspects wound up in those transformations. They wound up coming back to prime. Seeing disco Klingons there was just an inclusion factor. It was their first time to be depicted in animation. Or were they seen in the background on Prodigy? Well, bottom line, species diversity lives. And look, if we can be stuck with biker Tellarites, we can hold on to these, well, obviously defeated and post-war marginalized disco Klingons. They just kind of went away and sulked for the next few hundred years. No, that's a sideshow. The big picture here, aside from, well, finishing off a series in fine fashion, is setting up the future. Now look, as many have pointed out, we had a dam analogy from a Klingon farmer. We had rainbow energy throughout the spectrum, right? I kept looking for the koala. But do you know what just happened? The Cerritos just built a tap on the rift, like a faucet. You know, on, off, hot, cold, shower, sprinkle. It's a very spiffy, neat tap, I must say. Very, very neat. No rough edges. And we've got everybody, well, on several ships, all staring at this new tap, dimensional tap, like, I don't know, like Voyager's coming home, or Borgrati has just volunteered to be the not Oz guardian of the gates. And think about it, this multiverse portal is in place 17 years before the beasties called up by the Jat Vash try to come through. It's 18 years before that combo multiverse from Picard season 2. It is 20 years before the Borgrati portal 20 years later. What does that mean? I guess we're going to see. But hey, like I said on Trekland Tuesdays Live a couple of weeks ago, every Star Trek finale has a different feel. You've got, I don't know, the TNG Picards are marinating in memories. Some are abrupt, like Voyagers, always felt that way to me. Some are looking ahead, like Discos, you know, as long as they don't feel hijacked, like Enterprises. And this one felt like DS9s. Like it's transitional, but still it's in motion moving forward. I mean, we did get all these DS9 style montages at the end. No one else has done that. Okay, maybe baby steps on the Discovery finale. I've mentioned some of these, but then you've got the one with Mar and Malar, and yes, that is Kalara, his would-be girlfriend from before, back with him, along with one of his brothers, Targs. Happy ending! Oh, and then another, Shades of Picard's finale, saying, yay, age and experience over youth. We do have a place for Rattletrap old Starbase 80. Thank goodness. But you know, the other aspect of finales, they often try to find a way to bookend the beginning and the end. I think All Good Things on TNG being the most famous, right? And they don't go in for it big time here, but there was one moment that struck me. You know, when Freeman is having her emotional farewells, she's leaving and she looks up and she sees the big Cerritos sign in the shuttle bay. And for me, it called back to the first big moment on the Cerritos, and that big sign, same angle, but from Tendy's point of view when she was first checking aboard in the pilot. Move along, Lord X. And so, in the end, what do? We end up with the slightly changed crew checking out for their brand new mission. Just like at the end of every TNG Enterprise E movie, right? Of course, here it's a goo alien that we'll never get to see until the next meta comedy Trek. And when will that be? And who would have thought this whole saga would end with a ransom workout pun? Oh, one more thing. So is the spin-off show really going to be called Star Trek Strange New Realities? Take that, Rick and Morty. Okay. You know, it's the last episode of Lower Decks. I've said plenty. I think that's a good place to sign off for this second opinion. Yeah, that's what I've thought about all of this. But hey, I've said enough. What about you? What do you think? Here's your chance to comment below, would you? And yeah, like and subscribe while you're at it. Ring the bell, do all the things. Please help us boost the signal here. I dare you. I dare you to subscribe for some sanity in Star Trek, the way we do it here. And look, if you do appreciate Dr. Trek's point of view and our Trekland way of looking at Star Trek, I invite you to take a look at all the rest. Our live experiences like Trekland Treks, the day tours that we do around Southern California to your specification, and of course, 47, your backstage pass all year long, all the Star Trek you had no idea about. And then, sure, my podcast, The Trek Files from Roddenberry, Trekland Tuesdays Live, our live show you can join on Tuesday afternoons or watch later. Cadet Alice and Dr. Trek Watch Prodigy. All the specials and live events we do, it's all there. It's all there. Oh, plus our Cameo store. It's custom gift videos for you. Yeah. And our TeePublic shop. All of it is right there at LarryNemecek.com. I'd appreciate if you'd take a look. We even have a Patreon. And meanwhile, Section 31's movie is coming. I will see you then with the next second opinion, unless something really big breaks before that. Till then, thanks so much for watching, and Trek well, everybody.